The champ is in the house. Martin Nguyen, One FC champ. Welcome to MMA Live TV, dude. How's it going?
Good man, good as always. Good to see you again, man. Shit, it's been a while.
It's
Trip
been
down
a
memory lane.
while. It's been a while. Let's give the audience a bit of context. Martin and I actually went to the same high school, and different ends of the spectrum. We've got a fighter here, and we've got some guy behind the mic. But it's good to see you, bro.
Yeah, good man. Yeah, it's been a minute. Definitely been a minute, man.
Yeah, nice one. And you're still local? You're still keeping it real in the West?
Yeah, man, I can't leave. I can't get out of Australia. I'm out of the area, as in Liverpool,
Yeah,
but
sure.
Australia. There's a reason why we call Australia home.
It's a beautiful country, right?
100%, man.
Mate, COVID, right? Like, what have you been doing to keep yourself like mentally fit? Like, I've been seeing the videos. You've obviously your cardio isn't suffering. Like, you're going for runs. Like, what are you doing to keep yourself
Definitely
sharp?
not, man. So we just, man, we have our team here. Obviously, I train with Stanford MMA over in America.
Yep.
But in terms of when I'm back in Australia, we have our small team, and we like to, yeah, just keep it simple, man. We like to do our drills where everything's outdoors. With this COVID-19 thing, it makes it obviously difficult with grappling and all that. But man, in terms of our strength conditioning and our striking, we tend to keep it nice and simple and on point.
Yeah, nice one, nice one, mate. I'll give you a little bit of a story on the good old days, right? So we're playing footy back at the Oval in Liverpool, boys. I pick up the ball like in the hooker position. I'm a small bloke. We're relatively similar size, so I'd like to think at least. So I'm looking to pass on the ball to a forward, right? Because I'm in the hooker. I don't want to run the ball. No one wants to run. Fair enough. Decide to take it up, and I run into what is now, by the way, an illegal shoulder charge by you, buddy. You're really big into the footy back in the day, right?
Man, I lived, breathed everything rugby league, man. And as you can see, man, like throughout high school, I did everything freaking right, man, and everything was on point when it came to rugby league until after I left high school and just started getting injuries after injuries, and I was relatively a small guy.
Yep.
Wasn't as big as all the Islanders that look 20 years older than what they really did.
Yeah. Well, Tony
But
Williams came from our school, right?
exactly, man. Like imagine that someone like him running at you 24/7.
I do. I remember getting
Um,
palmed off.
Look, to be honest, everything everything, as I say, man, happens for a reason, and it is what it is. I moved on, and although I do miss the sport a lot, when life takes over, man, it takes you a different path, and here I am today.
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously, if you could recount things, like you didn't choose a bad path. Let's just put it that way, right? So,
Dude, it was just, to be honest, it's just fortunate, man. I I only started martial arts because I was getting overweight because I stopped rugby league.
yeah,
So just one thing onto another, man.
gotcha. So hold up. So it was a thing to keep you fit. So how do you connect the dots from starting a new discipline just to keep you fit to saying, hey, I'm actually gonna try to fight amateur and pro? Like, how did that connect?
Yeah, so it was about a year into jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
I was just like, you know what, I'm actually doing all right. Like the wrestling side of it came from the rugby league, so I was kind of naturally heavy based. It was just connecting the dots, as in putting the submissions together and bending your body into positions that you're not used to.
Yep.
And although it took me about a year to get my footing right and everything right, and the moment that started happening, I just started entering tournaments, and I entered one tournament, and I came third. And I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. This is like a high grade tournament back then. So I was kind of happy with my performance. And then 6 months later, I was like, it wasn't even 6 months. It was like a couple of months later, I took on like Muay Thai classes and started my striking from there. And then all the guys in the gym were getting successful with all their MMA bouts, and it was just one like you kind of always look for better, right?
Mm.
So I was doing jiu-jitsu, I was doing Muay Thai, and then all these guys were doing MMA. So I was like, you know what, let's try MMA. Like I've got somewhat of acknowledgement of it. I'm not the best out there. I just knew of it, and I seen the guys training, and I just jumped in and did a few tournaments, and I won those tournaments. And then I was like, okay, I'm getting somewhere with this. Like, not I'm not making anything out of it because
Yep.
it was obviously amateur.
Yep.
But I was getting like I was heading in the right direction with these guys around me. So we decided to jump in the cage from there.
Gotcha. So your first, it's interesting because in Australia, you don't hear about these local, unless you're really into it, you don't hear much about these local sort of promotions, right? So
Nope.
how did you get into, like I've been researching and this stuff is pretty hard to find, right? Because you don't know if it's verified or not, but I believe your first pro fight was it Southern Fight Promotions against Richard Kemp?
Southern Fight Promotions.
Gotcha.
Richard Kemp. Hey man, I was the heavy underdog. It was his hometown. It was Nowra, basically where he was from.
Yep.
The whole crowd, literally the whole crowd was his mates and his family, his friends.
Yeah.
The whole show was based around him.
Okay.
And obviously there was other fights on the show and other family and friends, but being local, and it was local, always with the fight promotion, they always get the locals on, obviously because it's cheaper. They don't have to house them because they were from the area. So everyone that was on that card was literally local, and here I was coming from Liverpool down to Nowra. Never been there in my life. Went down to Nowra, and yeah, man, just did my thing, man, and almost got knocked out in that fight, but I got the win.
So your first fight, man, nerves? Yeah, like freaked out, like
always, man.
Yeah.
Whoever says that they don't get nervous before a fight, they're not human, man.
Yeah.
We all humans, man. We always get nervous. We always think of the worst case scenario, but as you get fond of the fight game, as you get better with controlling your emotions, when it comes to all the fights later on in your career, I mean, there's you still get nervous, yeah, don't get me wrong, but there's ways to control it.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I can only imagine, right? I can't even imagine. So let's accelerate the time curve here. So you're 3 fights into your pro career, and you make the jump into One Championship. At that point, do you have a manager? Like, how do you even get to One Championship? Like, how does that occur?
Yeah, so that was very, very fortunate. At the time, One Championship had a summit that were expanding worldwide. Brace at the time, which was the fight promotion that I fought on. I was fighting for the featherweight title against a very, very dangerous fighter. He was undefeated. He was promised the title shot 2 times in a row, and the featherweight champion at the time was overseas and he couldn't fight. So we fought for basically he vacated the title, and we fought for the vacant featherweight title. And at that time, Brace had signed like an affiliate with One Championship, which was One FC back then. And I didn't know this. I was just preparing for a title fight. I was like, man, Australian title, this is mad. I can't wait. Like, this is my first title fight. It's gonna be a 5-minute round fight, my first ever 5-minute round. I was just training very hard for it. And this guy was tough. He was from the gym across the road from us. It was stupid because we were both in Liverpool. Literally, our gyms were literally across the road from each other, but we had to travel down to Canberra and fight. So it was just one of those moments where, okay, we just have to suck it up and do our thing. And fortunate enough for me, I won that fight, and the promotion owner, CEO, he had a contract. He had an agreement with One Championship at the time, saying that the winner of this winner of this fight gets a contract, because it was a big fight back then.
Did you know that when you were fighting?
No.
You didn't know that?
Definitely not.
Okay.
I won the fight. I had the belt put around me, and then he came into the cage and he made an announcement, and I was handed a 6-fight deal with One Championship. I didn't know if it was real. I read through it, and everything was, everything lined up and married up, and yeah, man.
Mate,
it was very surreal, but
that's
yeah,
so random.
Crazy.
Like,
it is.
Think about this. Like, if you were to replay your life, if you were told that was the stakes before you fought, like, how different would you have been?
Man, it would have made everything more urgent. Like, it would have made me panic even more.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. Like, it could have thrown me into a whole heap of scenarios. Like, I could have panicked. I could have lost the fight.
Sure.
Like, I could have. You never know. Like, you just take things as they come, and just hope for the best.
Of course.
Everything that you've been working hard on for the last 8 weeks, it will all prevail. So in this time, it did, man.
Gotcha. And this time, mate, obviously you're still working, right? Like the fight game, obviously at that level doesn't pay you at all. You're doing it for the
No
love,
way,
right?
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. That was like I wouldn't even say a side job. It was like a happy, like I don't know how people can say like getting punched in the face can make you happy, but for me it was my time away. It was my happy space. Like it was something that took over the me losing out on rugby league, right?
Yeah.
And for most importantly, I had my family then, so I had Kai and Tiana at that age, and I was just like, you know what, I have to provide for them, and that's my main focus.
Yeah.
And work always came first, bro, and MMA came second.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. Of course. You're a father, right? So like, the world is very different in those lens, right? Okay. Let's
100%.
accelerate the time curve a bit. So you're in one now. You're in an established league. You know, big in Asia. The world knows of it as well. Your first loss. Let's go straight into it. Against Marat Gafarov. I think I got that right.
Yep.
My pronunciation of
Yep.
these names are urgent. So
No, you're right.
did you feel, because from the sounds, it seemed like you had a wrestling sort of base, at least as your initial sort of base, that of how quick the fight happened and it ended. It was because you had never faced a grappler of that sort of caliber. Like take us through that fight particularly, because it wasn't too
Yeah,
long,
it
right?
was no, I still remember it clear as day. It's just very unfortunate, I guess. My arm got stuck and I got submitted. But for say for me, taking that fight on 48 hours notice, I wouldn't, it wouldn't have sparked like I would have had title shot contentions and world title dreams,
Mm.
but it wouldn't have sparked like another another fighter in me. Losing that fight, no one likes to lose, and I was undefeated at the time.
Yep.
I lost, and it just hurt to lose, man, and I didn't like it.
Yep.
I didn't like the feeling, and it made me, put more focus into what I was doing and what I needed to do and what I was doing wrong. Although it only went 40 seconds, I mean, that fight that I was meant to have, I was more of a wrestling-based, jiu-jitsu, ground and pound type of guy,
Yep.
and that's what the plan was,
Yep.
to go in there and do that to that opponent at that time. And with the last minute switch up, I mean, there's so much you can change. You really can't change it. You've been working something for so long.
Of
I
course.
mean, you just got to stick to it, and that's what we did. We stuck to it. I just took the guy down. I took him down, but obviously being the high level jiu-jitsu black belt that he is, he
Yep.
reversed it and took my back. And good night.
Yep. Knowing what you know then, have you taken like last minute fights in that regard? Like, or would you take in the future if like an amazing fight came up if it was last minute?
Look, I had, man.
Yeah.
I had. I had my next fight. It was like 4 weeks later.
Yep.
I wasn't injured, thankfully. So I just took the next fight 4 weeks later.
Yep.
I had a week off just to recoup. 3 weeks, and then I was fighting again. And then all the other fights, I had like 4 weeks notice, 5 weeks notice, 3 weeks notice. I think it was like one of them was like 2 weeks notice or so.
Yep.
But I didn't really care, man. I just wanted to work my way up and get my name out there, get the respect that I had to work for. And once I knew like that title fight, the rematch was in the grasp of my hand, I made sure that fight I was well prepared for.
Gotcha. Let's definitely talk about that rematch, because I think it was amazing how it occurred. And what was great about it is you went through fire in the beginning, right? It wasn't that like you ran through him. Like there was definitely like trials within it. How would you describe if someone had like watches like, for example, let's just say the North American leagues like the UFC and Bellator, and hasn't watched you fight? How would you describe your style of fighting?
Me, as of right now,
Yeah.
I just like to, I had to adapt to the rules. With One Championship, it's more of damage. I think takedowns and ground position is like the least of their scoring.
Sure.
So you can take someone down all you want, but if you can't hold him down and you're copying all of his damage, you're still losing.
Gotcha.
So in UFC, like if you take someone down and you control them, you're winning the fight, right?
Gotcha.
One Championship is total opposite. And how I was fighting the start of my career was like the global rule set, unified rule set. I was just fighting, take him down, ground and pound, control, and just lay damage via just grabbing him. And some people might say lay and pray, but that's what wins you fight. That's what wins you fights, I guess.
Gotcha.
But yeah, with One Championship, that's the rules are different. Global rule set. It's like it's more off damage and strikes, and um, it's completely different. So I had to change. I had to switch up. So me, I don't know. I consider myself maybe a sprawl and brawl type of guy.
Sure.
I would just if I'm fighting against a wrestler, I'll just sprawl on them and fight against him, fire with wrestling, and then I'll just light them up on the feet. I don't know.
Gotcha. I'd say one thing, and I think maybe the rule set of one has to do with it, because I watch a lot of the North American cards. You're striking, the word is deliberate. There's not a lot of wasted energy. You're not necessarily throwing out the jab out there. But mate, like for a featherweight, and I don't know if this is just like, again, the preconceived notions of it. Obviously, you've got like heat in the hands, the overhand right. Like like thinking about all the featherweights in the UFC, it's not a very frequent punch that I've seen. Like, where did that come from? Like when's the first time you threw it and you knew like there was heat on it? Have you measured that thing?
Nah, not really, man. I was just like, to be honest, man, it's just like I always say it, man. It's always those punches that you don't see coming
Of course.
hurt the most, right?
Yep.
So it all starts with the feet. It all starts with your head movement and movement altogether. Once your opponent gets comfortable within that striking range, and your body movement, the way you place your body, the hands are always there. Wherever it's a leaping hook or a hook, check hook, overhand right, everything's always there. It depends on body position, and
Yep.
if your opponent suspects one move and you throw another, then it works in your favor. The overhand right. Fortunate enough for me, every single time I've thrown it, my opponents think like because I'm that low that a takedown might be coming, or their hands might be low to be, trying to sprawl or something. So my body position is kind of low when I throw it, and it's landed multiple times.
Yeah.
I'll get them off guard, I'll counter. Every time there's a body twitch or a muscle twitch, I try to counter, and fortunate enough for me, I do land 9 times out of 10. So
Yep. We'll definitely talk about your next fight with Thanh, and he's coming with a lot of hype, obviously, and he's got some heat with the strikes himself. Are there any particular where's the evolution of Martin Nguyen? Like you've been talking about, like you've been training really hard with the Stanford guys, and I definitely want to talk about that as well. Where do you see the next evolution in your game?
for me, as in my striking or
As in
my
holistically, like where do you see it?
look, I feel like I'm evolving into another fighter, man. Since starting training, like I'm the type of guy that just likes to keep it simple, stick within my comfort zone, and that comfort zone I was training within Australia for my whole career, right?
Yep.
Until I had 2 bantamweight losses and I almost lost my featherweight world title. And then from that, just like being the same fighter all the way through, I look back in 2018 and I'm like, man, from the start of 2018 against Bibiana to the end of 2018 against Kevin Bellingham, I was literally the same fighter. I was not getting any better.
Yep.
I was not doing anything different where opponents would be like, oh, okay, man, that's something different, So basically, every fight that I went into, they knew. They just knew. They're just like, all right, I know this fighter. And for myself, I thought like I was better, but obviously I wasn't. So I had an injury on my knee that put me on the sidelines for a few months, and I had to regroup and recoup. And I had my coach with me, Kreiser at the time, and we sat down, we spoke, man. It was plain and simple. You need a change. And my wife got involved. My friend Anglan got involved, and then from there, it's just like, okay, I have to change. I mean, this is the people around me. This is the third eye that I needed, right?
Sure.
And and so the change happened, and it worked for the better.
Gotcha. So that's when you transitioned over to, was it 360 at that time?
Yeah. So it's Hard Knocks 365.
365. Yep, correct. Yep. So now it's Stanford, right?
It's Sanford.
Stanford MMA. So
SANFORD.
Yep.
Sanford.
Yep. Gotcha. So that's Henry Hoof and the crew, right?
Definitely, man. It's world class coaching, man, and it's obviously there's world champions in that gym. So sorry, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Kai, can you close that door, please? Madison, can you close it, baby? Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, with world class coaches, world class gym all together, man. And it was just like an eye opener, you know.
Yep.
Here's me going to a small gym in Liverpool, thinking that I have it all.
Yep.
And then when you go to America, you're like, it's a whole new world out there. And you're like, oh man, this is what I've been missing out on.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And do you? I've seen Henry in your corner with a lot of the fights. I mean, there's some killers in that gym. I think Kamaru and Gilbert are there, right? Like,
Yep.
like what is the effect of training in the gym with individuals like that? Do you actually get to interact with them? Like what value does it add apart from the process and the standard?
I mean, having fighters in the gym, just in general, obviously you're gonna interact with them. You're gonna, you spend weekends together. Like everything's there. Everyone in that gym is, a full-time fighter.
Yep.
Where they basically how it is. The philosophy is you have to put all your eggs in the basket. You can't just go, okay, I'm gonna put some here for work. I'm gonna put some here for partying.
Yep.
I'm gonna put some here for training. No,
Yep.
everything has to be in one.
Yep.
And these guys that we all are on the same journey. We all have the same purpose, right?
Yep.
Whereas in Australia, I understand that you have to. I mean, it's not cheap, man. It's not cheap to live. It's not cheap to train and eat and all that stuff. So people work, right? People have priorities. People have families. I've been through it, man.
Yep.
And so when people separate with priorities with training, it's like not all the eggs are in the basket, so they're not always there. And you, being a full-time fighter myself, I have to wait for training partners. Where overseas, it's like you walk into the gym and everyone is there. Not
Yep.
one person is missing. Everyone has a purpose that they want to be better and they want to be a world champion.
Gotcha. Speaking of, world champions, rumor has it, well, it's not rumor, it's actually on ESPN that you're helping our world champion Volkanovski with his upcoming fight. How did that? Who initiated that? Like, how did that come about?
That was on ESPN.
Correct. Yeah, man. I can give you the link.
I didn't even know. For real, yeah.
Now you do.
No,
yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no. I am helping out. Actually, I'm going down there tomorrow
Yep.
again. So basically, I'm just being a body for him,
Yep.
sparring body, punching bag, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll try to imitate as much as possible. Obviously, I'm no Max Holloway, but I have got like the elusiveness and the long reach, and I can do whatever is in my means to push him, to help him. And that's all that matters the most, man. Keeping the belt in Australia, having Australian champions, and proving to the world that Australians can hang.
Yeah, absolutely. And prior to that, obviously, because he trains at City Kickboxing with Israel and Brad and the guys over there. Have you had contact with him? And is like obviously Oceania, Australia, New Zealand, it's a hotbed, right? Like we're in a time where we're finally starting to get the recognition kind of there. Do you feel it's a relatively close community? Because I think Whitaker is at like Milton Grange, right? Like they're not very far off, right? If you think about it.
Yeah, so Rob Whitaker, he trains at Smeaton Grange, which is like 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes from my house. But he's got his own crew. Obviously, you need people around your weight, right? There's no use training with a middleweight against a featherweight. You're not going to really get anywhere.
Yep.
So with Whitaker, he's got his crew. He's in Australia. With Volkanovski, obviously he's got his crew. The City Kickboxing boys, they all work together through Tiger Muay Thai.
Yep.
They all grew up together. It's like they've got like a little brotherhood going on there.
Yep.
But obviously with the COVID-19 and the travel restrictions, he can't leave.
Sure.
And he has to make do with whatever he has in Australia. And the amount of talent we have in Australia, I keep saying, man, we have a lot of talent in Australia. It's just you have to travel for it, and that's the shit thing about it, man. Not everyone has cars, or not everyone can afford to travel. So with Alex, look, I don't mind, because going down to Windang only takes me 45 to 50 minutes, and I don't mind helping him out and doing the drive.
Yep.
With the other guys that he trains with, he houses them down there, so he's doing his part as a champion to provide and obviously get as much best training as possible for this title fight. So it's not an easy fight, but he's done it before, man. So it's no different.
Of course, and obviously you're predicting. Are you predicting a KO like he is? He's been putting it out there that's what he wants.
Yeah. So Volkanovski, he hits hard, man. He hits very hard. And look, Max Holloway is just a hard bloke to knock out, man. Like it's just very, very hard. Like I don't know. I'm predicting it's going to go to the decision again, and I'm predicting another whitewash 50-45
Yeah.
in favor of Alex.
Gotcha. So when you train with guys like that, and I've got my own viewpoints on this, just due to like what you've said in the past and your demeanor. Does it ever like tickle your itch to try and fight in these North American promotions, or not really?
Not really, man. Like for me, being 31 years old now,
Yeah.
I feel that if I was to take that route, I would have done it back when I was 21.
Yeah, gotcha.
But I had just started at 21. All these, you got world champions that are 24 years old, 25 years old, like just all young as they've been doing it all their lives. For me, look, to take a fight over there, yeah, I would. But if I was to go over to the USA, I'd feel that I have to start from ground zero again.
Yep.
Where at One Championship, it took me 6 years or 5 years to establish where I am today. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices that I had made. And where I am now with the way One Championship's going and the way I'm getting looked after,
Yep.
I'm very, very happy, and if something's not broken, why change it?
Of course. Let's talk about One Championship, right? So obviously they're massive in Asia, right? A lot of people know that. And with the recent, North American fighters that they've got, obviously you've got Demetrius, right? Amazing, like Hall of Famer. You've got Sage Northcutt, Eddie Alvarez. Like, I think it's introducing a North American audience really to you guys there. What are your thoughts about like these guys coming over, and do you feel like it raises the bar of competition? Like, what do you think about it?
Yeah, obviously it's going to raise the bar of competition. They came from a league where it's considered the highest of the high.
Yeah,
the UFC. But they're coming over from North America, and some of them are losing. Like it's not like
of course. Yep.
they're the best of the best. They're coming over and they're just going to wipe out every division. They're taking on fights where they know nothing about these guys, and it's hard fights, man. Like there's talent. I always say this: there's talent all around the world. It's just they just haven't been discovered yet. And when these guys came over, everyone thought it was going to be like a whitewash and all that stuff.
Yep.
But the fighters that they fought against, they're not a walk in the park, and some obviously proved it.
Of course. So, mate, your next fight, Thanh, like, I mean, you can put his name in, and I think he tried for the UFC as well. He's a very flashy striker, almost in the mold of Chung Lee with those spinning kicks, and obviously he's got those straights. Like, how do you plan to neutralize it, mate? Not to say that you don't have your heat, like, obviously without divulging like anything there. Like, are you hyped for this fight? Like, are you excited?
I'm so excited for this fight, man. I had started to prepare for it before all this COVID stuff happened, and we were scheduled to fight. Bout was signed and all, and I was fully locked in, ready to do my thing. And obviously, life takes a turn. Everything was put on hold, but now that everything is slowly opening up. As soon as I'm able to travel out, that the fight's going to happen. I've always stayed ready.
Yep.
I've never stopped training. And when this bout with Thanh, man, I'm really going to hurt him.
Yep, gotcha. And there's been nothing disclosed yet in terms of the location, because you've been quoted as saying you both have Vietnamese heritage. It'd be great to host it over there.
It would. Oh man, Vietnam has just legalized MMA, so what better way to have it over there? But in saying that, it's like all government approved and everything like that. So whatever government approves it first, I don't really care when or where. It's just a matter of it happening, and I'm happy, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of bringing stuff home, mate, like, can we get Chatri on the phone and tell him Australia's the market? Like, he needs to bring an event here. Like, what do we need to do to get a one event here to get you like repping Western Sydney and Australia fighting here?
Yeah, man, I wish, man. That's one of my dreams. I always dreamt of fighting in Vietnam. I always dreamt of fighting back home. It's just a matter of taking baby steps.
Yeah.
Making sure I'm able to still fight by the time they come to Australia. So,
yeah.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully they get to come here. We've got a lot of Australian talent on the One Championship roster. And what better way to boast up that Australian feel, bro, and then to bring it back home.
Awesome, man. I'm really like I'm proud for you, bro. Like it's just great when you see all these things happen to guys around you, and especially like where we're from. Not saying it's like hood or anything, but it's good to see that. It's a good
Yeah,
story.
man. It's very look to be honest, it's very very rare that someone makes it out. But I just stuck to it, man. I have my wife around me to support me. I had a lot of people around me who believed in me, and that's all that mattered, man. Like I just done my thing. I wasn't talented. I had to work hard for everything that I know and
Yep.
everything that I have. So at the end of the day, man, hard work always prevails.
Absolutely. Well, brother, I appreciate your time again. Hopefully, we can have you, after you've raised your hand, conking out Tan. But thanks for your time, mate.
No, man. Thank you.